Hello and welcome to English Listening Tips. I'm your host, Emma, and today we're diving into something many of you have been requesting: a comprehensive guide to chairing meetings in English. Whether you're a non-native speaker navigating the corporate world or preparing for your first leadership role, this episode will equip you with all the professional language you need to confidently lead any meeting. Before we begin, let me ask you, have you ever found yourself in this situation? You've been asked to chair an important meeting in English. You know your subject matter perfectly, but you're anxious about the language. What exactly should you say to start the meeting professionally? How do you transition smoothly between topics? What phrases can help you manage difficult participants without sounding rude? If any of these questions resonate with you, you're in the right place. Today's episode will be your complete toolkit for chairing meetings in English. We'll cover everything from opening remarks to closing statements, with plenty of professional phrases you can immediately use in your next meeting. And as always, the full transcript of this episode is available on our website at EnglishListeningTips.com, so you can review all these phrases at your own pace. Let's get started. The way you open a meeting sets the tone for everything that follows. You need to establish yourself as the leader right from the start, using language that's both confident and welcoming. First, you need to get everyone's attention. Here are some effective phrases. Good morning, afternoon, everyone. If I could have your attention, please. Shall we begin? Could I have everyone's attention, please? Let's get started. Could I ask everyone to take their seats? Notice how I emphasize the word please in these examples. That slight emphasis makes your request sound more authoritative without being impolite. It's not a question, it's a polite command. Once you have everyone's attention, welcome them officially. I'd like to welcome you all to today's meeting. Thank you all for being here today. Welcome, everyone. I appreciate you all making the time for this meeting. If you're meeting some participants for the first time, or if there are new team members present, this is the perfect time for introductions. For those who don't know me, I'm Emma Harper, Head of Digital Marketing. Before we begin, let's quickly go around the room for introductions. We have some new faces today, so perhaps we could start with brief introductions. For virtual meetings, you might add, if you're joining us online, please make sure your microphone is muted when you're not speaking. Please use the hand raise function if you'd like to contribute. Let me know if there are any technical issues with the sound or video. Finally, to officially begin the meeting, use clear phrases that signal it's time to focus. Let's get down to business, shall we? Now that everyone's here, I'd like to call this meeting to order. If everyone is ready, I suggest we begin. After your opening, participants need to understand exactly why they're there and what you'll be covering. This is where you introduce the meeting's purpose and outline the agenda. To state the purpose clearly, you might say, the purpose of today's meeting is to discuss our Q2 marketing strategy. We're here today to make a decision on the new client proposal. Today's meeting has been called to address the recent challenges in our supply chain. When presenting the agenda, be specific about what will be covered. I've prepared an agenda which has been shared with you all. We have 4 main items to cover today. Our agenda today includes 3 key points. First, a review of last quarter's results. Second, the upcoming product launch. And finally, budget allocations for next month. Let me walk you through what we'll be discussing today. It's also good practice to mention timing. We have 1 hour for this meeting, so I'd like to allocate about 15 minutes to each agenda item. In the interest of everyone's time, I'd like to finish by 3:30, which gives us exactly 45 minutes. Let's try to keep each discussion point to no more than 10 minutes so we can cover everything. And always check if anything needs to be added. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add to our agenda before we proceed? Are there any other urgent matters we should include today? Have I missed anything important that we should discuss? Remember, a well-communicated agenda is your roadmap. It helps everyone stay focused and gives you, as the chair, something to refer back to if discussions start to go off track. Now we come to the heart of the meeting, working through your agenda items efficiently while ensuring everyone has a chance to contribute. This is where your chairing skills really shine. To introduce the first item clearly, let's start with our first agenda item, the Q1 sales results. Moving to the first point on our agenda, which is the customer feedback survey. I'd like to begin by discussing the first item, our social media performance. When you want to open the floor for discussion, I'd like to hear everyone's thoughts on this. Who would like to start? What are your views on this proposal? Does anyone have any questions or comments about this? Managing participation is crucial. Here are some phrases to bring people into the conversation. Sarah, you've been working closely on this project. What's your perspective? John, we haven't heard from you yet. What do you think about this approach? Marketing team, how would this affect your department specifically? Of course, you'll also need phrases to manage time and keep discussions on track. That's an interesting point, but perhaps we could discuss it in more detail after the meeting. We're getting slightly off topic. Let's refocus on the main question. We have several more items to cover, so we need to move on. Let's park that idea for now and come back to it if we have time. When transitioning to the next agenda item, make it clear. If there are no further comments, let's move on to our second agenda item. Now, turning to the next point on our agenda, the budget forecast. Let's progress to our next topic, the new client onboarding process. If an item requires further discussion but time is limited, this clearly requires more discussion than we have time for today. I suggest we schedule a separate meeting focused just on this topic. Let's create a small working group to explore this further and report back at our next meeting. Since this is such an important topic, I propose we take it offline and continue the discussion via email. Even well-planned meetings can face unexpected challenges. Let's look at some common difficult situations and the language you can use to handle them professionally. When someone is dominating the conversation, thank you for your valuable input, Mark. Now, I'd like to hear from some others. Jennifer, what are your thoughts? Those are some excellent points. Let's hear from someone who hasn't had a chance to speak yet. I appreciate your enthusiasm on this topic. Perhaps we could continue this discussion after covering our other agenda items. When two participants disagree or a discussion becomes heated, I can see we have different perspectives here, which is valuable. Let's focus on the facts we agree on first. Both viewpoints have merit. Perhaps we can find some middle ground. Let's take a step back and remember our common objective, which is to... This is clearly a complex issue with strong opinions. Let's take a short 2-minute break before continuing. When someone consistently goes off topic, that's an interesting point, but it falls outside the scope of today's meeting. I think that relates more to our discussion next week. Let's make a note to address it then. While that's important, I'd like to bring us back to the specific issue at hand. When you're running out of time, we're running a bit behind schedule. Let's focus on the essential points for our remaining items. In the interest of time, could we address just the key issues for now? We have only 10 minutes left. Let's prioritize the decisions we need to make today. When technology fails in virtual meetings, it seems we're having some connection issues. Let's take a 1-minute break to resolve them. If you're having trouble hearing, please mention it in the chat and we'll address it. Since we're experiencing technical difficulties, I'll share the presentation by email after the meeting. Remember, how you handle these situations demonstrates your leadership skills. Stay calm, be respectful, and keep focused on the meeting objectives. Most meetings require decisions to be made and actions to be assigned. Here's how to do this clearly and effectively in English. When you need to make a decision, we need to reach a decision on this today. What are the options we should consider? Based on our discussion, I think we have 2 viable approaches. Let's decide which one to pursue. We've heard several perspectives. Now we need to agree on a way forward. When you want to check for consensus, is everyone comfortable with this decision? Does anyone have any major objections to this approach? Can we all agree that this is the best course of action? When you need to vote, let's put this to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Since we have different opinions, I suggest we vote on the 2 main proposals. We'll decide this by simple majority. Please indicate your preferred option. When assigning action items, David, could you take responsibility for completing the first draft by next Friday? Who would be willing to lead the research phase of this project? I'd like to assign this task to the marketing team. Emma, as team lead, can you coordinate this? When confirming action items, just to confirm, Sarah will prepare the budget proposal and Mark will arrange the client meeting. Let me summarize the actions we've agreed on today. To be clear about who's doing what, Jennifer is researching competitors, Alex is updating the timeline, and I'll be speaking with the client. These phrases ensure that your meeting doesn't just involve discussion, but leads to clear outcomes and next steps. You've reached the end of your agenda. Now it's time to wrap up professionally with a clear summary and conclusion. To begin your summary, before we finish, let me summarize the key points from today's discussion. To wrap up, I'd like to review what we've covered and the decisions we've made. Let me quickly go over the main points from our meeting. When summarizing decisions and action items, we've agreed to launch the new campaign on May 15th, with Sarah leading the creative team and David managing the budget. The key decisions we've made today are, first, to proceed with the international expansion, second, to hire 2 new team members, and third, to revisit our pricing strategy next quarter. Our main action items are as follows. Jennifer will send the revised proposal by Friday. Alex will schedule meetings with potential partners, and I'll update the board on our progress. Always check for any final questions or comments. Does anyone have any questions or final points before we conclude? Is there anything else we should address before ending the meeting? Any final thoughts or concerns? And finally, to officially close the meeting, thank you all for your valuable contributions today. The meeting is adjourned. I appreciate everyone's time and input. Let's meet again next Tuesday to review our progress. Thank you for your participation. I'll send out the meeting minutes by the end of the day. A professional conclusion leaves everyone clear about what was discussed, what was decided, and what happens next. Now, let's put everything together with a quick example of how a well-chaired meeting might sound. I'll demonstrate the key phrases from each section. Good morning, everyone. If I could have your attention, please. I'd like to welcome you all to our quarterly planning meeting. For those who don't know me, I'm Emma Harper, Head of Marketing. Let's get started. The purpose of today's meeting is to finalize our marketing strategy for the upcoming quarter. Our agenda includes 3 main items. First, reviewing last quarter's performance. Second, discussing new campaign ideas. And third, allocating our budget. We have 1 hour, so I'd like to spend about 15 minutes on each point, leaving some time for questions at the end. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add to the agenda? No? Great, let's proceed. Let's start with our first agenda item, last quarter's performance. As you can see from the report I shared yesterday, we exceeded our targets by 15%. Sarah, as the campaign manager, would you like to share some insights about what worked particularly well? After Sarah speaks. Thank you, Sarah. Does anyone have any questions or comments about these results? David, you look like you want to say something. After discussion. Those are all excellent points. If there are no further comments, let's move on to our second agenda item, new campaign ideas for Q2. The marketing team has prepared 3 concepts, which I'd like us to discuss. Jennifer, would you like to present these? After Jennifer presents and discussion follows. We seem to have a strong preference for the second concept, the sustainability campaign. Is everyone comfortable with pursuing this direction? Great, so our decision is to proceed with the sustainability campaign, with Jennifer as the project lead. Now, turning to our final agenda item, budget allocation. We have $50,000 to allocate across different channels. Based on last quarter's performance, I propose we increase our digital advertising budget by 20% and reduce print advertising by the same amount. What are your thoughts on this? After discussion. We're running a bit behind schedule, so let's quickly agree on the budget breakdown. Can we all agree to the proposed reallocation? Any objections? No? Excellent. Before we conclude, let me summarize the key points from today's meeting. We've reviewed our successful Q1 performance, decided to proceed with the sustainability campaign for Q2 with Jennifer as the lead, and agreed to shift more of our budget toward digital advertising. The action items are as follows. Jennifer will distribute the detailed campaign plan by Friday. David will adjust the budget allocations, and I'll schedule a follow-up meeting with the creative team tomorrow. Are there any final questions or comments? No? Thank you all for your valuable contributions today. The meeting is adjourned. So there you have it. A comprehensive guide to chairing meetings in English. The key to success is preparation. Before your next meeting, I recommend selecting a few phrases from each section that feel comfortable for you and practicing them until they become natural. Remember, chairing a meeting effectively isn't just about the language you use. It's also about confidence. Even if you make small language mistakes, a confident delivery will help you maintain authority and respect. This is Emma from English Listening Tips. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you again soon. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. If you found this helpful, please share it with a friend who might benefit too.